Simplified Khaos, episode 199.
Life is beautiful and full of chaos.
And it can get slightly out of hand if that shit's not tamed.
We're here to share how to simplify the little things to help you lead a more intentional life.
This is Simplified Khaos.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Simplified Khaos. This is Jillian, and I'm with my co-host and partner, Nicholas.
What's going on, folks? We hope you all are having an amazing week. We have got another great episode here for you today. This is our second to last episode of Simplified Khaos. Jilly, can you believe we're here? Holy crap.
I can't believe we even started this to begin with.
I know, right? It's been quite a journey over the last 4.5 years or so, but we're counting down to the end. But again, we've got some other plans in the works, which we will reveal in our next episode on episode 200. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Jilly, what are we diving into today?
Today, we're kind of just looking back and just kind of sharing what the podcast has brought into our world. I think it...
yeah, you lovely people.
Yeah, I mean, community just being one out of many things. But I think it's time to honor the ending of Simplified Khaos and just kind of just chatting about how everything's unfolded and what, I don't know, to bring us where we are today. I think it was fun to kind of jot down my notes and thoughts on this, and I kind of want to turn this into a blog post now just because I'm like, man, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good too. Man, I should write this shit down.
This is called repurposing content, Jilly. That's good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. But as always, before we dive into today's look back on Simplified Khaos memory lane, we love to show some gratitude. So Jilly, what are you grateful for this week?
I am grateful for our little local library, who I probably shared before. They just started back up what they call Messy Mondays. And it's just so great that they take the time and energy to plan out these amazing, really interactive, fun things to bring kids to come to the library. And the past 2 weeks, they've done Messy Monday outside, which is something different than they've done before.
That's awesome.
So the first week, they did all kinds of really cool chalk activities. Like they made all kinds of homemade chalk, and everything seems really approachable. And they give you just like little directions if you want to replicate anything at home, if the kids really enjoyed it. Anyway, today they are exploring paint. So they had like little plungers you can dip into paint and make really cool art. They had nylon stuffed with like pinto beans, dried pinto beans, and it was like a yo-yo. Like it was heavy. The beans were inside the nylon and they tied a knot, and you dip the beans in the paint, and like the kids are up high, and I'll have to show you a video.
It sounds awesome.
And it was just like so many outside the box ways to look at materials. And I love that they really go deep and find really creative ways to showcase all the different ways you can be creative. So we did that this morning, and it was outside and it was gorgeous, and, you know, got to see other kids in the community out there as well and just soak in the sun. And it's one of those things where I don't even say anything to Lucille. It's funny. The people that are working there are like, wow, that looks beautiful. Look at that. I can't believe you did that. And I'm just like standing back and I'm just like, this is awesome. Just like being there. I don't have to say anything to Lucille. I just let Lucille be her. And she flourishes anytime she's around anything like art-wise, creatively. So I'm just grateful that we have that space to do that, and for both of us.
Hell yeah. It is a pretty cool library.
It is magnificent.
Yeah.
But what about you?
There's a lot of things to be grateful for this week. We've had a pretty amazing weekend. Did some fun things with some neighbors. A little impromptu Sunday fun day, if you will. But I am grateful for the rain. Yes, I am grateful that we actually got some rain for the first time in the last like 3 weeks or something like that. My lawn looks like it's in mid-July form rather than late April form, which is not good, but it is what it is. But so I'm just happy we got some rain, some thunderstorms, some wind. It was actually really cool. It felt like summer when the storms came through, and we're supposed to get some rain later on this week. So looking forward to ending this drought here. But yeah, that is me. I'm happy for the rain. I love nature. Do your thing. Cool.
And I didn't even think about this, but I'm going to put a little also grateful for your parents finally coming to visit us.
Yeah. We had such an amazing time with them coming into town, getting to showing them why we fell in love with this area, which is what we do with all of our guests. So if y'all want to,
that sounds familiar.
if y'all want to check out the Charlottesville area, hit us up. We'll be more than happy to host y'all and show you why we fell in love with this area.
And we don't mind repeating the same things because each time we go, we're like, yep, this is cool. Yeah, this is cool again. We're just going to keep bringing people here.
I didn't tell you this, but when I was driving into Charlottesville with my parents, the evening that you were watching their dog, I pretty much gave them the same tour that you gave them during the road, pointing out stuff. They're like, wow, this sounds like a repeat from earlier today. So it sounds like me and you have a tour business that we're prepping for that we unknowingly are doing. So.
I mean, if surface level questions I'm fine with, but if they want to know the history of Thomas Jefferson, I'm sorry.
Like, well, you just got to go to Monticello yourself.
But it was funny.
Figure it out.
When we were showing them places, Lucille started like, this is the wool factory. This is where you can get chocolate milk. And like she was starting to like tell your parents, like, I was like, we got a little mini tour guide here.
Yeah. She knows all the spots to get chocolate milk.
By the way, your mom got a chocolate milk with her.
Nice.
It was quite adorable.
That's awesome.
They were croissanting and chocolate milking together.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lots of good stuff this past weekend. Yeah. All right, Jilly. We're here at episode 199. I can't believe we've only got one more episode after this one of Simplified Khaos.
Yes.
We started this journey in December of 2018. Hard to believe.
18.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. Lucille was all but 6 months old at the time. Feeding off your breast in the first at least 8 episodes.
I'm trying to think, how long did it take us from the creation of the idea to doing the thing?
I want to say it was about a month and a half. I would say no more than 45 days because I feel like we had our conversation about it at the beginning of November and we were like, hell yeah, let's do this. And I think we recorded our first episode between, it may have been right around Christmas time in 2018.
Yeah.
And we were all about that simple lifestyle, baby. That simplified, clean and simple life. All that good
because
stuff.
I guess everything started shifting once I was doing infertility. I was doing fertility treatments just to get pregnant. And that's when I had the epiphany, like, fuck, time is precious. Why am I wasting it doing a lot of things that I don't want to do? And then we had put into practice a lot of things. And then we were like, I think we need to talk about this because we feel a lot better.
We got something to say and we want you all to hear about it.
And it wasn't, I mean, we probably had been doing it maybe for about 5 months. I don't know. No, before Lucille. So maybe a little bit longer. And we were just like, yeah, this feels really good. Let's put it out there and see if anyone's going to benefit.
Yeah. We had no idea what we were doing. We still probably have no idea what we're doing.
Nope.
We're talking into a microphone. We're talking with each other. We're talking to you. We've talked to guests. So it's been quite a ride. We've traveled because of the podcast.
Yeah.
We've, had some really good conversations. We've had some crazy conversations, some deep conversations, with each other and, with our audience here. So it's just been an amazing to get to 200. I know not a lot of podcasters get to 200, but just the fact that we're getting there and we will accomplish that in our next episode, I think is just amazing.
Yeah. Again, it still hasn't hit me, but I know it feels right to lay Simplified Khaos down to rest because I feel like I'm ready to pause and to have some space and just to reevaluate what feels right for us next, which we'll talk about. But
yeah,
it's just wild. Like I always hear like you really never know the path until you're already on the other side, and then you look back and you're like, wow, that path made a lot of sense. But it's all like messy, right? You're going through it. Just like looking back how we just started it, and then we're like, hey, why don't we talk to guests? Like we had no intention of doing that, but
no.
I think eventually you're like, all right, we're tired of just talking to us. And why don't we reach out to people who also appear to be living a life that's really aligned to what they want.
Yeah.
Because again, I was going off of social media. So it's like you see something, but I wanted to dig deeper and dive deeper into people who look like they were just happy to be alive, doing what they're doing. I was like, I want to know what's going on.
Yeah, our first guests were the Dunkles, and we invited them over to our house. We had to set up in the basement. We had chairs. It was a lot of fun. And then we were like, well, let's travel. And so we traveled to St. Louis to interview Michelle. And then we had plans to travel to Colorado to interview, was it Liv? Yeah. We didn't interview her in Colorado. We did that over the internet because of the pandemic, but then we actually went out and visited her. So like, it was just, it's been amazing. And we've met some of our other listeners. We've met some of our guests in person. Like, it's just been really cool.
Yeah, Kate in Florida.
Yeah.
This time right now, we were in Florida and I was meeting her in person.
Yeah.
And that's one thing when I was looking back is that I don't consider myself an extrovert. And, it really pushed me outside of my comfort zone to reach out to people, even if they might say no. I mean, even if it was on social media, like rejection seems a little bit easier when it's in written form, you know? But still, like the fact that I did that thing, like I feel like I've grown a lot, and it definitely feels good because I feel like the podcast has aided me in moving to a new place and putting myself out there and making new friends. And feeling comfortable with, if it doesn't work out, it's okay. And I think the other part of that too is just when you dive deep and like have conversations about someone's life and their story, and they share about all the risks they take and all the messiness, it just makes you feel like I'm not alone and it's okay. And if like you're doing that, then I can do this. And it just brings you more together, I guess.
Oh, and it's inspiring too. Like we always have a lot of doubts in our own mind that we can't do X, Y, and Z, but then you see somebody else do it and it's just like, you know what, if they can do it, we can do it. And I really enjoyed that about the interviews that you did, is that you found people who had interesting stories, and hopefully they inspired you all to do some things that maybe you had doubts about in your lives. And of course, I think it's helped us do things that maybe we've had doubts in our lives. So, you know, I think it made our move down here to Charlottesville a lot easier, just talking with people who have done it. It's just made a lot of our aspects of our lives. It's made us take risks. It's made us be spontaneous and all those kinds of things. So we've learned a lot, not only from our guests, but from talking to each other and having these frank conversations. And it's just been really great for our relationship and our family as well.
Yeah. And like looking back, we just started it to do like simple living, like minimalism. That was what we were like honing in on. And it's evolved quite magically into like living a life that's aligned to your values. And seeing that progression, it just makes sense. But looking back, I was like, I never thought we would be where we are today. And one thing that I'm grateful for the podcast is that the podcast was like this great excuse to reach out to people who were inspiring to me. Mm-hmm. You know, it may have been a lot creepier if I'm like, hey, I don't know you, but do you want to have coffee one time and just talk to me? It's like, oh, I'm a podcaster and I would love to hear your story and share it. So I'm grateful that it gave me a means to connect and dive deeper with people, and it helped me dream in people. Like, the more you hear people's stories, it makes you just become bolder at dreaming. This podcast has helped me become a dreamer. Yeah. Instead of just, this is what we should do, this is as far as I'm going to go, and kind of, you know, give myself all of these boundaries and, I don't know, roadblocks that, you know, I'm not smart enough. I'm not daring enough. I'm never going to be that person. Like, this has opened up my mind, my world, to just so many possibilities. I mean, if you think about everything that has shifted, I mean, our mindset has been one huge benefit of this podcast. I feel like that just opens up so many doors to so many things.
Yeah, I mean, with all the chaos in the world around us and whatnot, it's really helped us kind of keep an even keel on things. And like you said, just being more intentional about what we're bringing into our life, what we're not bringing into our life, who we're hanging out with, who we're not hanging out with. Like, it's just all of those things. It's just made it easier to say both yes and no to things. And we've talked about things being a hell yeah for us, and it's really helped us make some decisions on, whether we're going to do something or not. So yeah, I mean, it's just been tremendous for our mindset and how we've pushed forward over the last 4 years.
And something else that the podcast has definitely brought into my world is that I feel like I'm okay being vulnerable more often now. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not hiding behind a facade. Like, when we did this, I was a teacher by profession, and I kept thinking, like, what if people hear me? And I'm like, why are there different versions of me in the first place? Why is there a teacher Jill and then there's a podcast Jill? And I'm thinking, like, it doesn't make any sense. So I feel like the podcast helped me step boldly into who I am as a mom, as an educator, as a whatever, and just be that everywhere 100%, instead of hiding and being one shell of myself with one group of friends or a different side of myself in a professional world. It's like, no, what you see is what you get. So if you listen to me on the podcast, that's me in the real world too. So I definitely think that, I mean, I hate to use the word authenticity, but this podcast has brought that into my life. Like, over the 3 years we've been doing this.
Yeah, 4 years.
4.
Yeah.
4.
Don't sell ourselves short, Jill. But I think I don't know if we intentionally did this at the very beginning, but we dove into some topics that were very personal, like very early in the podcast, and especially when we were talking about like your infertility journey, postpartum and stuff like that, like, which made you be vulnerable. Like, you had to be vulnerable to talk about those things. Like, it was, a tough time. So I think very early on, it was like, if we're going to do this, like, we need to be ourselves. We need to put ourselves out there, not be worried about what other people think of us, and the people who obviously are going to listen to us at least resonate with us. Like, let's not try to be somebody who we're not so that we can just get listeners. Let's be who we are so that we attract the people who are just, like us, or, think like-minded and are able to get something out of, what we're putting out there.
Yeah, and it has been wild just to see our community change. Like, the people who started listening are not the same people who may be listening now. There may be people who started with us in the beginning and they're still with us, which is so stinking rad. And if you have been listening since the beginning when we started this baby, please reach out and connect with us, because we would just love to know who those people are, and just like say hi. And, I don't know, it would be cool to hang out too in like real life one day, like we always say. But
hell yeah, it's
been really cool just to see the community evolve based on how we've evolved, and know that it's okay that you may not still want to listen to us because this doesn't resonate with you anymore, and that's all right. But it's been really cool to see people who've been around for the whole journey to just hear our life unfold, to hear the chaos unfold, and how we've been flowing with it. And I mean, this has been like a live portfolio of the last 4 years of our life. And how amazing is that Lucille one day, if she wanted to, gets to go back and listen to who we were then and where we are now, and hear our voices. And it's probably going to be really weird for her too, to trying to think, like, would I listen to my parents talk on a podcast if they did one?
Yeah. I'm wondering if, like, we stopped paying for the hosting site, if our podcast would still be out there. So we may just have to, like, do a lifetime membership to Podbean just to make sure it stays out there.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, it's been such a great way to document growth, and that's the other thing I think we've mentioned before with the podcast, is that this has been the biggest motivation and accountability partner to keep us moving, and being okay with stopping and resting, but not quitting. Like, we've kept going, I think. And this has been knowing that we show up with a community and each other. It's like been our ultimate hype man, hype woman, to just keep going in that direction, whatever it looks like, sounds like. We haven't stopped. It may be slow, and we might pause and reflect and go back some, but we've kept going. And I hope that I think now it may be intrinsically in us that regardless if we are podcasting or doing this, it's like we're still going to have that innate, like, we can do this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this isn't either one of our first jobs. You know, it's something we've been doing for fun. And, you know, we've done our best to try to do an episode at least once a week. There's been times where we've missed a week. I think there may be a point in time where we may have missed 2 weeks in a row, but we tried not to let that happen. And, you know, right now it just feels like, you know, we've been doing this for 4.5 years. We can use a little siesta from this, but, you know, again, we're not going anywhere. We've got something planned for y'all. Talk about that in episode 200.
Oh, gosh.
I know, right? But yeah, I mean, it's just listening to ourselves and just knowing when you need to take a break. You know, it's being intentional. Like, we are taking an intentional break here. We intentionally are stopping at 200. We had this conversation back in December. We were like, you know what? Let's just cap it at 200. So we've been planning this for quite some time, and you know, we should have been at 200 probably 2 weeks ago, but that is what it is. You know, we've been traveling, we've been visiting family and friends, and sometimes that gets in the way, but we were intentional about that.
And I wouldn't even say get in the way. I would just say redirected us for something that we wanted, you know?
Exactly.
But yeah, no, man, it's hard to put into words all the things.
Yeah.
I mean, you even said it, like our relationship is stronger.
Yeah.
It's helped me communicate more about my needs and what's going on in my body to you. So that way you're not like, what the hell's going on with my wife? You know? So, and it's, I mean, because of the podcast, like kind of pushing us towards what we truly want in life, we get to be these, hopefully we're definitely imperfect, but pretty badass role models for our daughter.
Oh, yeah.
I keep forgetting sometimes that Lucille gets to watch us how many little micro changes have we made since she's come into this world?
Oh, my goodness.
She gets to see all the crazy ideas, experiments, little changes, pivots, adventures, things we just decide to do on a whim with intentionality, but she gets to experience that and hopefully continues to experience that. And hopefully that is embedded in her and gives her confidence to follow her values, whatever she decides she wants them to be. You know, we instill ours in her, but eventually she's going to set her own unique journey and path, and we'll be there to support her. And so the fact that Lucille gets to see this, it's kind of cool. Yeah,
it is kind of funny how, like, when you were pregnant and when she was born, we're like, oh yeah, she's going to do this. She's going to do this. We're going to do this as parents. And like, just how that just goes out the door, like once you're in the thick of it. And, you know, we've pivoted, we've done things, we've changed our mind on things, and it's just been great. Like, every decision we make is we're hopefully it's a decision to make her life better and help her grow. So yeah, it's just funny how that all changes, and it's just like the seasons of life. We've always talked about the season of life, like from the very beginning, and just how that changes and flows. And I think you can see this in the last 200 episodes and how it has changed and flowed and differently. And it's just, we've been in different seasons of lives. And like Jill mentioned earlier, like some people have been with us from the beginning. Some people were with us at the beginning and then stopped listening because of the pandemic, and then other people have picked us up after that. So it's probably just where we were at the season in our life, which attracts other people where they're at in the season of life. Like, that's just kind of the cycle. It's hard to keep on. Like, I don't know that I've listened to a podcast for 4 years. I've gone back to some, and I've listened to new ones, and I'm always trying to find new ones. There's like some that just kind of keep repeating the same thing over and over again, which is probably another reason why we're like at 200. I feel like we've kind of said everything we need to say about our vision with this podcast. And
I feel like I could talk about my life all the time.
We certainly can.
And future projects that may or may not be still happening. But it is funny when I think about, if I do listen to a podcast, if I've been listening for a long time, it is a podcast where they share how their life is evolving. And that's what keeps me in tune, because I like the variety and the realness and the rawness. And I hope that if Lucille one day, or anyone, whatever they get out of this, they hear the genuine, stories that we share. And Lucille sees that, man, life is definitely not a linear path, and it's messy and it's beautiful and it's wild and it's crazy, but it is what we get to make it.
Yeah.
And I hope that our community knows that, like, how genuine and raw we've been on here and how we've poured our spirits into this baby. And I hope that some little nugget got implanted in them to uplift their lives in some way. And that's what we're here for.
That's why we were doing this. Absolutely. We felt like we just had something to say and that other people could potentially benefit from it. And that's why we've done this. We've done it commercial free. We've done it with,
no sponsors.
No sponsorships or anything. We've just done this because we like doing it. And it's just brought a lot of value to us. And like Jill said, we hope it brought a lot of value to you all.
Yep. We were never in this game like, we're going to get so many followers and make money. I was like, yeah, that's not me. That's not me.
Yeah.
If we happen to get more followers or listeners, that's cool. But I really love how, I think I've told you this before, I was afraid to get too big. I love this close-knit community and not feeling the pressure to like have to perform and do something that didn't feel right for us. So this has been an amazing passion project for us.
Hell yeah.
I am grateful for Simplified Khaos coming into our lives.
Me too. All right. Anything else there, Jilly?
I've probably blabbed enough.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to keep it to a half an hour like we try to on this podcast. We can probably talk forever about some of the episodes that we really enjoyed, but go back and listen to them all, folks. We have a lot of good ones.
And a lot of great guests. A big shout out to every guest who said yes and to who shared their story. We truly, truly appreciate you and them just being along for the journey, and hopefully the conversations won't stop.
Yeah. Did you do any resources or anything for this one? Or
I did. It's a really short one.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. Pop it up there, Jilly.
It was just a little blurb just about conversation, and it was called The Forgotten Power of Conversation. Conversation is personal contact, the meeting of minds in a mutual search for what life and work are about and how we should deal with both. It's approaching others with an open mind and ready sympathy for their concerns, not just our own. When people converse, a change of opinion is always possible. Conversation is the ultimate human interest activity, at work or outside, bringing you into direct contact with people in all their complexity and vulnerability. And I just hope that if anyone got anything, like just the power of conversing with you, conversing with our audience, with other guests, like how much true meaning and joy and bliss and growth it's brought into our lives just from talking.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
Awesome. Quote of the day?
I do.
All right.
It's from the Dalai Lama. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. It started with one tiny action, and then bam, here we are today talking to y'all, beautiful people.
Yeah.
And we're pretty fucking happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not great timing with the Dalai Lama quote, but I'll talk to you later about that.
What happened?
Nah, don't worry about it. Not appropriate for the podcast.
I can't stand the word appropriate. What do you mean?
Oh, I'll tell you later.
Oh, gosh. This is why I don't read the news.
Yeah, but it's a good quote. Anyways.
Damn it, Nick. You really popped my little red balloon.
Oh, it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's the take action? Listen to all of our previous episodes. Take action? I'm kidding.
Just have some good conversations.
Yes.
And if you haven't reached out to us on Instagram or sent us an email, we would love to hear if you've got anything out of this podcast, or just to say hi. Like, it's so great to connect, and what a better way to like end Simplified Khaos is just to like have a conversation with y'all.
Yeah.
So
or a coffee.
Yeah. Either of those sound
we like
really
to travel,
great.
so hit us up.
Have we said we like to travel?
Yeah. I don't think anybody got that out of this podcast.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Oh, we're scaring them now.
I know.
That's great.
We want to be your friends.
We're okay being weird.
It is. Yeah, we are very okay with that. All right. Well, folks, that is going to do it for today's episode. If you like this episode, please do us a favor and continue to help us spread the message. You can do this by writing a review or simply by sharing this episode with a friend. And remember, sharing sparks a conversation, conversation leads to action, and action is how we're able to live a happy and intentional as hell lifestyle. We want to thank you all for listening today, and we will see you next week for our last episode.
See y'all later.